Howdy, and welcome to Oye Dimos Cinema Club. My name is Raymond Arturo Perez, and you are inside the Actors Studio. Just kidding. I'm here with JP and Michaela. Oh, everybody. Okay, I was going to try to signal y'all. Steve, and then Dino, and then there's a ghost next to him, and it's the ghost of Jason. But he'll appear soon, probably. And today we're covering Mahogany, which premiered in 1975, directed by Berry Gordy, written by John Byrum, story by Toni Amber, starring the one and only Diana Ross, with Billy D. Williams, a little moment with Anthony Perkins. And then I just wanted to mention, because I wasn't sure if that was him when I was watching it, but Bruce Valanche is in it as like a young Bruce Valanche in 1975. And I was like, oh, I've only ever seen him in like his older form, but humans can be younger, and this is him in the movie. So that was something. And then yeah, but without further ado, how about we go into first impressions?
I'll start because regarding that whole age thing, I felt the same way about Lando Calrissian and about Anthony Perkins. It wasn't until they told me that this was the guy from Psycho. I was like, so that's why that name was familiar. But first impression, I thought the movie was gonna be short. It's a short movie. It's 146 minutes. Not gonna lie, that first half tricked me. It felt way too quick, that first act of the movie, but by God, did it slow down a fuck ton to the point where I thought it tricked me. I thought it was lying. I kept on checking my watch and saying, and then I checked the time as well. It's like, oh my God, there's still 30 minutes left. And those 30 minutes felt like two bypass surgeries. It was fun. Okay, but all in all, God, like I don't know. I wasn't in the mood, but this movie for to have to have a dynamic like you can't go wrong cast. For some reason, it did. I didn't like it. You have two of the most smoothest, sexiest people in like the business at the time, and by God, I did not believe their chemistry. And there's a lot that was wrong with the movie that we'll probably talk about. But all in all, I didn't like it.
Ugh, I felt bad because I can see why this is an important film. It's beautiful. Like there are so many iconic moments to look at, but I did not enjoy watching it. It was a tough watch for me as well, and I don't know if it's because it's dated or if it's just because I'm just in a weird space where stories like this are just they just chafe. But I know why this is important. I just it was hard for me.
I'll
That
go.
was, that was nice. Okay, yeah, go for it.
Um,
Cut to him.
I kind of agree with the lovebirds over there. I feel like it's dated. I feel like I was like looking forward to seeing these actors because I haven't seen much. Well, especially Diana Ross, but I really wanted to see her do her thing. And yeah, I thought the timing was super I'm like, wait, it's been a week, it's been 2 days, 6 months, it's been a year, where are we? Like, I'm famous all of a sudden. Like, timing just felt all over the place. Now, I do love seeing me some Chicago on film, so I did enjoy. I was like, I think that's Chicago. So I do enjoy that aspect of a lot. I didn't realize there was gonna be someone was gonna get murked, or there was gonna be possible murking of people over a gun. There was a car murking, which was just like weird. So yeah, it was. I think it's extremely dated. I hopefully if they were to redo this movie, which is weird that they haven't, um, they would update the story because that ending, I'm just like, there aren't that many likable characters in the movie if in today's day and age of morals and what people and what women are trying to do, especially women of color. It's definitely, other than seeing that like period in time and two artists at the height of their, I think, fame, you know it's very dated. That's it.
First impressions. I agree with my colleagues. The movie's fairly slowish, and it takes a while for you to get actually fully into it, especially myself, because I'm a person that I am not as, I guess, versed in the fashion world, but I did feel like the Epstein vibes of the movie that made it a bit uncomfortable for me in certain situations. But it is something that, even though it is dated, said Dino, it's still something that happens nowadays. Like, for people to break into such a industry because it's such gated and protected and all that stuff. And it was an interesting watch. First impressions for me, like I said, it was a little slow, but it was great to see Diana Ross act. And what I do like about a film like this, in compared like films now, is that films now feel very structured, or like the acting doesn't feel as organic, versus in this film, like there's a lot of scenes, especially ensemble scenes with a lot of people in the scenes, that felt very natural, and I did like that. So that's my first impression.
Cool beans, cool beans. I'm hearing a lot of hate. I'm feeling a lot of hate this week on the film. Um, I don't know if I fully share in that hate. uh, my first impression was everyone's terrible. Like, the dudes were terrible. And she's kind of not nice at the beginning before the story starts. And so it's just like, what is up with everybody? And I did also think, like, this feels, in the land of reboots and remakes and whatever, like, this feels like it could have a really solid moment, especially because maybe the original has some room for improvement. But overall, I think because it's been on my to-do list for a long time, and thank y'all for like treading through it. I had fun. I am a huge. I mean, I was even gonna put it as a category, but I'll put it in my first impression. I was gonna say I'm a huge drag race fan, and by extension, just like drag and RuPaul and his isms of it all. And so, just knowing kind of the context of some of the things that you just take for granted in his lingo and speak being um, cemented in this film, and it's kind of like such a reference point for his day to day verbiage. It was so neat. It was so cool. But yeah, that was my first impression. I think that the thing that I kind of wanted to talk about next, and I think Steve kind of touched on it, was performances. Because I totally get what Steve was saying about like when there were scenes with a lot of people, it felt very naturalistic. But this is my first time seeing Diana Ross in anything, and I was surprised by her performance, to say the least. So I was just wondering, like, what's going on here? Like, it it felt at moments like, is this camp? Is this, I don't know. So that was kind of one of the first questions I wanted to pose, was like, is this camp or not? There's something about Diana Ross's performance in this very like kind of serious story that at times feels unbalanced. I'll say this before I kick it off to y'all. I'll say that when I was watching some parts of this film, and I've seen, my share of SNL performances, and they make fun of like Liza Minnelli. Sometimes Diana Ross's acting reminded me of the SNL comedians making fun of Liza Minnelli, and I was like, interesting. Fun fact: Liza Minnelli was originally supposed to play this role, but when things happened, Diana Ross ended up being the person that they offered it to. Okay, done talking.
Shut up! No way!
Yeah.
All right. I think that it is camp. I mean, it's especially. I feel like around the mid '70s there was a lot of camp, and I think also musicians in movies during that time period, or even until recently, musicians making that transition into acting in certain movies just didn't seem to hit it off as well as currently. It seems like there's a better or easier transition, or it's also just what kind of roles they were offering musicians back in the day, right? Especially female musicians. So was this the response to A Star Is Born? But like doing, let's do it in as a seamstress or as a model designer type of thing. That's my thing. But yeah, I feel like there was a lot of camp, and especially in the scenes. Yeah, it was campy, but a good campy in that sense.
I'm gonna have to say no. I don't think it was camp. I just think it was melodrama that took itself seriously. With camp, it's fun, and with camp, like what's crazy about camp? I don't think people ever try to go for camp. Like camp is an accidental like experiment gone wrong where they're trying to be serious, but it comes off as camp. But this one, it's the same thing, but not really. It just wasn't fun. I didn't like it, so I can't say it was camp. I thought it was more melodramatic, almost borderline soap opera-y.
Mm-hmm.
But at least with those, you kind of have fun with it. I didn't.
So it wasn't JP's camp.
No.
What were you saying, Michaela?
I was just saying that I don't think that it was so much a problem with like the performances, because like you kind of do want this melodramatic stuff given the storyline, but the storyline itself was just so over the top. And like I feel like the writers felt like since they were writing about fashion, they felt like they had to give it more oomph to make the common man care. So you end up like not only getting like this character who's delving into her passions, but you also have like this other character who's like, no, I'm here for the community, which is why you should cheer for her to be part of what I'm doing.
And it's hopeless because he was running as an independent. So like
even then.
Water.
But no, like it's just like so many weird things happen in the story that just like if they would have just taken like either the gun wrestling or like the cart like thing out, we would have been fine.
See, what's weird? The only thing I'm willing to admit was kind of like soft camp was the car scene. That's it. Not even the gun scene was camp. That one was kind of scary and cringe at the same time, but it wasn't camp. The car scene, camp soft.
Well, I'm just saying that I think that was like part of why this movie was hard to enjoy.
Yeah.
Was just because like instead of giving us time to like digest this happening to the character and letting us see this change the character, it's like, oh yes, and by the way, they're breaking up again, and you're like, oh, okay, but wasn't she still okay? Cool.
Very fluid,
Yeah.
In that sense, I agree also with like JP Michaela that like it felt way more soap opera-ish for me in that sense because of that, because the whole breaking up and going back again kind of felt a little like jumbled together. And yeah, it was. It just seemed like it was throwing like a lot of themes together, but it was like jumbled up. Like there wasn't like a concentrated effort to like say, hey, this is story A, this is story B, and this is story C. It was more like care about this, but also care about this and care about that. So it
Well,
felt
apparently
a little.
what I
What?
read, the director got fired or he left or let go, and so then who's the owner or founder of Motown ended up finishing directing it because that Motown produced it. So clear, and then it just seems like it was cut, just kind of like, what do we have? Let's put it all together as best as we can. At least to me, that's how it felt. I mean, yeah, I don't even know what to, like, there were so many cool little things that, especially in the 70s, I'm like, oh wow, like she's a badass. Like, oh, she's like, I ain't gonna fuck you, like I'm gonna do this my way type of thing. And over, I'm just like, okay, like, yeah, this is the 70s, go for it. Like, and then I would just take a turn the other way and be like, okay, I guess never mind. It was too soon. And then I would go back and I'm like, yeah, go for it. And then it was like, fuck you, Brian. Fuck you. Like, get out. And then the psychopath photographer, fuck you. And then we're back together again. And I'm just like, it was too much. It was very stressful, you know, just like, what are you doing? But so
I like that you guys mentioned the melodrama thing because as I was watching, I kept asking myself if this was camp or not. And actually, so I ended up talking to my roommate, and we had like this whole hour-long conversation about whether it was camp or not. And then he was like, "Oh," like kind of at the same time, we were like, "Oh, no, it's on Camp by Susan Sontag." So I ended up reading that. I have notes, which I'm not gonna go into the details of, but like it's like a 12 to 14 page essay on what camp is. And one of the things that JP said that sounds a little shady is actually part of the essay, which is that you should find it enjoyable. And JP did not find it enjoyable, so therefore it is not camp. But also, I didn't look into the essay about melodrama, so maybe it's just melodrama. Anyway, I did find moments that felt, campy. Like the driving scene felt like one of them when they first got into an argument and or like the in the streets and they like threw what was it, like cream or
Like she put
Milk.
milk in the bullhorn.
milk, and then they started just going at it. I was like, this is chaotic, y'all. There were some moments where I was just like, this is so heightened. I can't even. I can't believe it. But another thing that I wanted to mention that I did like, having read the essay thing, was that as something ages or deteriorates, just time itself allows us to see anything as potential camp. So just because it's like when we see really bad sci-fi films from the past, we go, oh, that's so campy because the technology has moved or advanced so far. So yeah, everything's relative. But there was something you guys mentioned about the writing that I did feel on the more like writing stuff that I felt was a choice. Like Steve, how you were saying that it sounds like they wanted to talk about like these many things. Like some of my stuff in grad school is like that, where I was like, the first draft is like, oh, this is a mess, y'all. Like I want to talk about so much, and it's not a good story. That's not how you do it. It just felt like they really tried to make this Run for Alderman piece of the film. But when I was watching it, I was like, this is about fashion. Like I want to fast forward through all this. This feels like the wrong thing for this character to have been created to do. So since we don't seem to have, well, I'm still gonna ask the question. What was a moment in the film that you guys did enjoy?
Uh,
Like anytime she was like in a fantastic outfit, I was living. Like there's so many beautiful like visual things that happen in this film, and y'all can't say I'm wrong. Like her, like when she first is like dancing around in that rainbow dress, iconic. Like that was so beautiful to look at, and it's just like, and she has so many like moments like that where it's just like for 5 seconds you're like, oh, this is great. Oh, now her life is actually happening. Oh no.
I guess my favorite scene, which is like, I think it's funny that you brought up like the ultimate thing. Like, as I wanted to like Billy D. Williams in this film, but it really like as soon as Diana Ross went to Rome, she could come back to Chicago. She can, but it should not have. And like as soon as Billy D. Williams walks out the door, that should have been the last time we saw Billy D. Williams. Because the movie, it tricked me. I feel like when Anthony Perkins is like when he brings the secretary in, right? Oh no. But when Anthony Perkins like mistakes Diana Ross as one of the models, like it's such a it's a cute Hollywood type moment, and like I feel like the movie should have been that. It should have just stuck to that, and you kind of you were a bit more passionate than I was about it, so you'll probably feel it. So, but that was my favorite scene. Was that just scene like because it's a big fu to her boss, and it shows that no, like even though she wants to do designs, she could definitely get there by doing modeling or whatever.
But like that's what was so frustrating to me for this film, because it's just like you could just sense in the script that they just wanted her to be able to do all of these things, but because this was made during the time it was, like you have to remember that like women were barely allowed to have their own bank accounts at this point. Like this was like what 79, so that was like so like there's like so many like things where like if it was written today, a lot of people would be like, but her life is still being dictated by men, even though she's fighting so hard to be like independent. But they keep like, as much as she like tries to do that, why is everything still dictated by the men that she meets? Which it was just so frustrating to me, which is like not the writer's fault, just my own personal thing, and I know that.
No, like that's why I felt the same way, but like you hated it. I was like, she should have just went back to Chicago and opened up her own little shop. And then when she went to the rallies, like, how dare you?
Because it's just like that's the only reason why they made him a politician.
Yeah.
Like the only reason why they pushed that so hard with him was so that we could be like, yeah, he's doing the right thing. He's doing important stuff. And so they can do anything together. Like it gives you more justification for her to give up her entire dream for a man.
But once again, as an independent, so it's a work of Hollywood when he even stands a chance.
He said he was going to the Democratic whatever thing.
No, he said that there was that asterisk, the Democratic Independent Party. It's like, you're a left-leaning idiot without a chance. Got it.
He was going with a dip. I don't know. I just from hearing you guys talk, because I agree with Michaela, but also it felt like him being a politician is also being like a model, right? So it's kind of like I'm either a model here as a politician or as a politician's side piece, or I'm a model in the modeling business, and then hopefully I can get further down the road. Of scenes that I like, though, pretty quick. I mean, who's not to love the how am I gonna get my man back? And I got 4 kids with my land. Like I'm down for all of those goofy scenes.
Yeah, I think that was a pretty good meet cute, actually.
Yeah.
The first one at the unemployment thing was great. The second time, that was hokey. Who said that? Who duh?
And,
we get it.
And they even had the audacity to have her in the wig and the white fur coat. So it's just like one of these is not like the others.
Although Michaela, you said about the fashion thing, or maybe it was Raymond. He had some pretty sick attire, though. I will say that.
Like all of the clothes in this movie are just so beautiful.
That one wool leather jacket he had, I was just like,
the shirling at the end.
yeah.
You know, I'm gonna have to raise you the green velvet blazer with matching top. Have to raise you that.
That was the Harvey Dent we never got, and I'm mad.
Velvet blazer.
Yeah, it was there for a second. Yeah, I was like, oh man, Harvey Dent like him would be great. Maybe it's canon. Maybe it's all part of the same story.
When I was watching it, if we're talking about the fashion of it, when we were watching it, I was saying to Dean, I was like, the clothes that she's wearing, women would be pleased to be wearing these clothes today. All that stuff is full cycle, and it's all the fashion in it is kind of classic.
Yeah,
most of it's pretty timeless.
And she designed it, as we found out at the end of the movie, that she designed all the costumes.
Who knew she had that talent? I didn't.
Women have multiple things they can be good in.
I mean, I guess Diana Ross has always had fabulous, fierce, big, bright clothes, but to think back, like her experience with designing her own, how much input did she have in her own, costumes throughout the years? But yeah, that was fantastic. That's one of the best parts of the whole movie.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, but that's how high level it is. Yeah. You know what I mean? I mean, the movie's not terrible. You know what I mean? No. The movie is campy.
I agree.
Yeah, it's campy.
Oh, you missed Raymond. He wrote a whole essay about what actually is camp, and to be camp, you gotta like it. So JP didn't like it, so it's not camp for him.
JP did or didn't like it?
Didn't like it.
So for him, it's not camp.
No.
I see. Oh, that's pretty interesting. You gotta like it.
Yeah. Tell me. Wait. Before we move on, Jason, tell me why it's camp. Yes or no? And then I forgot to mention my favorite part about the essay.
So I say it's camp, and the reason I say it's camp is because there's a lot I liked about the movie. You know what I mean? Dare I say I would watch it again? There's some parts that are troubling, but also it was 1975 in Chicago. In a very, very racist America during the Vietnam War. There's a lot of things going on here. I feel like that's in the movie regardless. You know what I mean? You can kind of sense those things. They talk a lot about politics, a lot about social structure and changing their neighborhood. They're talking about gentrification. Back then, we're still talking about it, And even worse then, and there's these beautiful social moments, like social activist moments where he's like, well, what about the extras? How much are they getting paid? Yeah. No, you're just using these people. There's no union for them, and you're allowing it to happen. You should negotiate something for them too. If the models are getting $70 an hour, at least you could do is give them $5 an hour for standing in the cold. He's got the cigarette in the one guy's mouth.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Doesn't smoke in his coffin.
I think all that's beautiful writing too, though, because that's like, I'm going to show you something, and they did it in a cool way. I think some of it that makes it a little camp for me is some of the sociopath guy she was dating, like some of his stuff. Like he was a lunatic.
Did she, other than Billy, did she actually have sex with him? Because I just don't think she was. I think that was how she kept kind of her power and control.
That one encounter where he couldn't get it up for her.
Yeah, that's how I read it too. Is like he could not perform. And that's why I got so mad.
That's why he's so upset with these models. Is he just wants someone he can perform with because he's supposed to be the guy. Even though I think it was a kind of a moment where he's actually probably gay.
Nah, I just think Norman Bates can't find anyone attractive other than their mama.
I felt like he was into men and women. I just feel like he wanted to control people.
That too, yeah. I mean,
like I said, the only reason why I think that is just because of that scene where he's just so mad, just lying in bed, and she's saying, "It's fine. You're literally the guy. Why are you?"
Oh, what? What? So there was a scene. There was a post-coitus scene.
Yeah, there was a post-coitus scene of them.
We saw. Were there janky cuts in the version you guys saw?
No, Dino, that's the movie.
Okay, so I totally missed the post-coitus.
Did you talk about the final scene yet with the weird editing? Did you guys have any weird editing in the final scene of the movie? Like maybe they cut a kiss out or something?
They're about to kiss, and then it's like, kink. Nope, no kiss.
Oh, okay. No, you guys definitely saw some weird Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I feel-
Yeah, full case.
version of the movie.
And it went straight to the credits. Like they embrace,
Yeah,
and they're
it looks like
about,
they're about to
to
kiss, and then they cut straight to the credit. We're like, wait, what?
I mean, what they should have cut was that song that they played on repeat every.
I think you saw the George Lucas version.
Maybe.
I know.
I-
but-
Or-
They,
or-
they have it in a Simpsons episode. It is part of pop culture.
The Mahogany is in a Simpsons episode.
They do a like in the 4th season. There's a gag where Mr. Burns, they're like celebrating his life, and Smithers made him like this video showing his life, and it's the Rome sequence with the song, but instead of Mahogany, it's
It's Mr.
Mr.
Burns.
Burns.
So that's fantastic.
So if it's Mahogany the film, Mr.
Amazing.
Burns is like white marble.
Hey.
Hey.
I love the song, by the way, and I'm just gonna have to be honest and tell you guys, when the song first started, I was like in my head, like, oh man, I love this song. And Dina was like, what's this song? What's with this song? And I was like, this is a great song. Like,
That was not me.
maybe I'm wrong, but I thought you were trying to express that you felt it was out of place or not a good song.
No.
And I was like, I love this song. And you're like, yeah, but well,
No,
I'm like, all right. And then he looked it up. He goes, oh, this thing was nominated for an Oscar. I'm like, yeah,
No,
no,
okay,
great song.
all
Probably
right,
the song, yeah, because
okay.
he wouldn't stop.
All
They-
right.
They overplayed their theme more than an anime, more than
See-
fucking Dangerous Mind did with Coolio's
Ja-
song.
Jason
They stole
just
that song, man.
Jason just edited what my interaction, like the way this movie was edited. Just boom, 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 and no time for breathing, no time, like no action. So it looks like I'm just crazy and I have a collection of guns, but no, I'm not. And
We need
yeah,
some
all
time
that
to go with
is
this text.
fake music news.
Well, I like Jason said, or was it Jason or who said that it got nominated for an Oscar? It did.
Well, he said it, but I looked at, but yeah.
He wants some
Yeah.
credit. He looked it up, but I said it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that y'all also mentioned earlier that the director was part of like Motown. So it seemed like they were really banking on that nomination, because the story behind the nomination is they had to fight for it because originally it was ineligible for some arbitrary reason. But they're like, no, like this song needs to be nominated for an Oscar. So they like argued and got the Academy to agree to allow it to be eligible for that Oscar.
I'm sure the ineligibility was the moment they found out that it was by Motown. I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
What do you say, JP?
Did you guys not hear? Yeah, did you guys not hear me?
Zoom in.
I missed it. There's
Did you go mute for reals? Poo. I said the ineligibility was probably the moment they found out that it was somehow related to Motown.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
Well, like, I mean, if you guys don't know, Berry Gordy, the director, is the guy who founded and started Motown.
Cut to them.
Yeah, that had brought.
Oh, you brought that up?
Yeah.
I mean, so I didn't even know he had directed a movie.
Yeah.
That dude's like a hometown hero for me. You know what I mean? I love Berry Gordy. Like, I love Motown.
The obviously credible IMDb says the theme song "Do You Know Where You're Going To" was at first considered not acceptable because of quality standards for being an Oscar contender, but Berry Gordy successfully lobbied the Academy into nominating it. So it could have very well been what JP was saying.
Too
I'm
black.
pretty sure I'm right.
They say quality standards.
Yeah, I know.
Meaning
That-
quality standards, it sounds like it's not good enough.
That's when they say. That's what
Sounds
now
like
they
some
say. Oh, it's
interesting
urban.
word
It's too urban.
choice.
Yeah,
Like
they're
this-
like, we're not ready for a black artist to win best music for a movie. Not yet.
What
Sounds
won
about
that
right.
year? I guess.
Louis
I'm gonna do
Armstrong
some
won an
digging.
Oscar, didn't he? Didn't Louis Armstrong win an Oscar? Wasn't he like maybe the first black person to win an Oscar for music? Or am I
I'm
wrong
right.
about that? Whatever. We'll learn. We'll learn another time.
Now I'm Paul. Hold on. Now I am curious. I was looking it up. You can go.
We may never love like this again.
You may
Alcasha.
never know.
The world may never know. Yeah, I think I really like the music in it. They did use it a lot, but they started to use it so much where I'm like, yeah, I think you're supposed to use it just that much. Just this, she's a musician, and there's a great song attached to it, and you know it's a hit record. Like, it's obvious as a record producer, like he knows it's a hit record, and he's like, we got to put this thing out there and attach it to the movie as like a product. He's also being a businessman as he makes his movie. Very much so. I'm sure this movie. Dino said that the movie made 3.5 million.
No, it cost.
It cost 3.5 million to produce,
And it made
and
5.
box office in the U.S. was 5 million. So it probably broke even. Everything considered, right?
It had that it was internationally, but it didn't have any international numbers.
Well, whatever they done international was a bonus.
Yeah.
But basically, the movie breaks even at the box office after you pay, theaters and vendors and all that kind of stuff. Everybody gets their cut.
But it's that record sales they want.
I bet the song pushes everything over the edge, and they make all their money back off that song. They're still making money off that song.
Mm-hmm.
So the if this was in 1975 Oscars,
Yeah, or 76 maybe.
75 was We May Never Love Like This Again, and that won the Oscar for The Towering Inferno. So that won in 75. So
That's lit.
What?
Michaela, I was just wondering, and if I missed it, whatever. But did you say why you chose this movie?
I didn't choose this movie.
Oh, who chose this movie?
Well, Raymond gave us options.
Oh, Raymond, this is Raymond's pick.
Yeah.
Raymond, why did you choose this movie? If you didn't already explain it.
So a couple things. Real quick with the song thing, they said that it might have not been in contention because there was a previous recording. Thelma Houston had released a version previously, possibly, which did not make it an original soundtrack. That might be what. But I'm going to keep digging while we're talking. The reason I chose it was because Mahogany is often referenced in Drag Race and other like queer and then queer POC dialogues and or films, both directly and or indirectly, so you don't even know it's being referenced. And kind of, since we're talking about it again, one of the big references from Drag Race is at the end of every season of RuPaul's Drag Race, once they've decided who the winner is, the voiceover for when the queen holds her scepter and is wearing her crown is RuPaul going, "You're a winner, baby." And it's absolutely referencing this film when she says, "I'm a winner, baby." Something else that stuck out to me is a lot of the like categories that RuPaul uses, especially now that it's in like its 105th season of Drag Race, are usually now just like elements of clothing. Like this season they did power shoulders or whatever. Or I forgot what you call this. Power shoulders?
Yeah.
Is that what you call this? Okay, I don't know why that sounds funny.
Power pads, power shoulder pads, power pads,
shoulder pads,
like power suits, shoulder pads, whatever.
And the thing that also stuck out to me in this film was when the fashion teacher professor is like, no rhinestones, no sequins, no ostrich feathers, which are kind of like buzzwords nowadays for every drag queen. Like any outfit a drag queen has is going to have one, if not all three of those elements. So it's just like interesting, kind of the nuts and bolts of drag somehow tied to this film, both indirectly and directly. And I'm glad I watched it.
This is very interesting. These are great points, Raymond. Was when this movie came out? Well, who wrote the film? Who wrote it? Do we know who wrote it?
I don't know. What was your question, though?
The writer is John Byrum.
Because the perspective of the writer is always very important. And if all those elements are out today, maybe they were implanted in some way. You know what I mean?
Oh, it has to be, especially like about like the outs and ins of the industry. The fact that it's more about her being I don't think the right, like her having patrons versus like actual employers to get her through things. And I do think that like the way that they present her clothing and all of that really does kind of flavor that. Like there has to be some element of that to it. Though I didn't realize how much of Diana Ross's not characteristics, but mannerisms affected RuPaul's persona. Like the way
Diana
he
Ross
gives
is one of his favorite like people in the
like
world
100%.
ever.
But like it's just like watching this movie and like seeing how him perform. Like it's just like, oh wow, like I can only imagine how many times he watched this film.
As a child, or whatever, as like I can only imagine as well. Like even when when Anthony Perkins is directing the models at the store, there are challenges where RuPaul does the exact same thing. He'll be like, bark like a dog, on your four legs, hold it like faster, or whatever. And it's just like a constant gag. Or sometimes he'll pretend to be mad and angry, like I forget if it was like a protester or someone on the street at some point in the film gets like really mad and goes on this tirade and starts going all throughout the staging of the space they're in. RuPaul will do that sometimes, and I'm just like, who is he channeling in this moment? And I'm like, it could very well be Mahogany. There's just a lot of isms that are like just part of this film that he's just adapted as his personality.
Yeah, right on.
Too horny. Still too horny. Too horny.
What was that?
The one of the last girls that was like on the with a
she was my favorite.
Because she wasn't really changing it at all.
I thought she was gonna have a bigger part in the movie. She was so good in that scene. I was like, oh, I want to get to know her because she's like doesn't know what to do. She felt like more like a comedian.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, here comes the funny person, and then that's it. No more of her in the movie.
I'm not gonna lie, I really, in my hearts of hearts, I was hoping she wasn't gonna take the last direction because it looked like it was gonna be that scene. Like, now say shit. Like 5-second pause. Shot.
I guess it was story by Toni Amber, and then some guy did the screenplay. So you know why that changed.
Oh, it's mine. It just says writers. They didn't write it together.
Well, I don't know if they were. It said Toni Amber on IMDb. It said Toni Amber story and John Byrum.
Oh, that's interesting. So, yeah.
And he apparently signed on to the project to work with the director that got let go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Who was the director that got let go?
I think his name's Tony Richardson. Something like that.
Berry Gordy was like, fuck it, you're fired. I can direct this thing. Get out of here, you bum. And this is like his first movie, and then he just started directing movies.
Yeah,
that's one way to do it.
I mean, is this his first time directing
your
a film?
own record label and then become a director?
Yes, it is. It's its only movie.
Oh, is it only?
He produced about 5 films. He produced The Wiz, The Last Dragon, Lady Sings the Blues, the Bingo Long Traveling All-Stars and Motor Kings, and Hitsville, a documentary about Motown.
Well,
that's it.
All those records that he sold by producing movies. It's great.
I guess Berry Gordy in an interview said that Toni Richardson had already started directing the film, and Gordy said that he dismissed the director because a spectator in Chicago noticed that the dialogue that the actors were delivering wasn't indicative of proper Black English. He called out, "People don't talk like that in the ghetto." And so then Gordy fired the director and said, I guess...
Good. Because he would have ruined that movie if it was some racist-ass tropes throughout it. I'm like, God damn it.
So yeah, Gordy was on set and heard that and I guess was like, yep, let's...
Good for Berry Gordy. He did the right thing.
There you go.
Maybe the movie would have been better with the other guy still, though. I don't know. You never know.
Another universe.
I don't know, y'all.
Berry Gordy was good enough in a pinch. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and he hired the guy. He ended up, it was Jerome Arnold, and ended up being working, I guess, alongside Billy D. Williams as one of the campaign workers. So
Oh, he's in it.
yeah, the guy that yelled out, I guess.
Oh, that's Berry Gordy.
No. Gordy hired the guy that yelled out that they
Oh.
weren't talking correctly or whatever. So he hired him also to be in the scenes with Billy D. Williams.
Yeah, that guy was cool.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. Anything else, Raymond, or are we gonna be wrapping it up?
That was kind of my spiel of things that I wanted to talk about. So I think with that said, I
Oh, did you finish?
Final.
Did you finish the last thing you said you wanted to bring up about that essay you read, or no? Or you
Yeah,
forgot?
because obviously I want to show how smart I am. No, it was funny because I'm like taking this essay really seriously and I'm going through it, and then like the second to last bit of the essay, towards the very, very end, it talks about who is the bearer of camp taste, and she says very plainly, the answer is an improvised, self-elected class, mainly homosexuals, who constitute themselves as aristocrats of taste. So it's funny because her definition is so long-winded and tomato, potato, like it's all over the place. But then she goes on to say this. I just thought it was really funny.
Yes. Yes. Quite right. Quite right. Yes. Yes. Quite right.
Very not.
Yes.
Very not.
Indubitably.
Okay, now.
I concur.
So with that said, what are some final thoughts? Do we still ferociously hate this movie?
I'm gonna make mine quick. Yeah, I didn't like it. I don't know if I could recommend this movie. It's definitely not the worst thing that we've seen, but I will never revisit this movie again. No hate to the movie. I didn't like it.
I think it's a very beautiful movie. I feel like if you really are into subcultures and you want to know where like certain references are coming from, it's definitely worth a watch. I think it's a hard watch, especially like nowadays when we're like trying to like champion narratives where women are actually taking control of their lives, because like they really wanted to do that with this, but because of the times, you could tell that they didn't find that realistic enough. That a woman could do it by herself, which I think was like my biggest frustration throughout the whole thing, is like it was so like it was a hard watch for me. So I don't think I'll be revisiting it anytime soon, but who knows? Like I don't hate it enough to like never watch it again.
I kind of agree there. I kind of agree there with Michaela on the. Yeah. There were a lot of things that I enjoyed, but I do think it's extremely dated. So it's almost more so of like, watch this because of Diana Ross and the outfits, and a little bit of the story, but more so for the time period, not and the. But other than that, I didn't think the movie has held up. Quality wise, but it has a lot of good things. But I don't know. I wouldn't recommend it, willy nilly to people. It would have to be very specific kind of groups of people that I'm like, oh, maybe you would like this, or oh, you know what, check this one out. And it's extremely hard to find anyway. So I mean, it's a hard one to recommend when it's not something you can easily find to watch. So that's my final thought. Make it easier to watch movies.
Does Berry Gordy know that his movie is so hard to watch? Like,
Is Berry Gordy still alive?
yeah, he's still alive.
He's probably really old, huh?
Wow.
I guess so.
Or was in 7?
I mean, he's working in 75, so I don't know.
I know, right? It's like, did he start it when he was 15? Motown.
Alexa,
He was really
how
young.
old is Berry Gordy?
Hey,
I
we
wouldn't
don't
have
get
to-
any money from Alexa. Don't be promoting other stuff here. He was asking
95 years
Alexa.
old.
He's 95.
Damn.
Yeah,
Nine-
Alexa's
92.
actually my best friend's name, so I was just asking her to look it up for me.
Oh, got it. Okay, that's
Cool.
cool. Sorry, Alexa.
As you were.
That's okay.
Final thoughts?
Oh yeah. So my final thought. So to me, this movie was Funny Face, starring Audrey Hepburn. Had it all happened to a black woman, because that's what it felt like to me. It's almost the same sort of tone and story. It's just the road is a lot harder and more treacherous. You know, it wasn't going to be no easy ascension to the top, Diana. You got to go through some things. So Audrey, she didn't have to go through as much, and she sort of won the day a lot faster in her flick. I will say what's comparable about this movie to me, and I mean this, the costumes in this are almost on par with like Funny Face. These are iconic wardrobes that I've seen on people. I've seen referenced in other things. And it's like this 1970s kind of futuristic chic thing she's going, like with also inspired by like 50s. Like some of those dresses she had on throughout the movie, just regular, like they weren't really showing off, were gorgeous.
Yeah, Skittles Taste the Rainbow dress was pretty good too.
Yeah, that seems like couture at this point. Like that would be.
The,
Also, it's made for a movie. Me and Dina were wondering at one point, did Diana Ross had a line of clothes or something? She was so good at this thing. Like maybe it was a wasted opportunity. She could have sold a bunch of women's fashion.
She still can,
or just fashion.
Because she could put a lot of those out right now, and they would be.
It's a collection or something.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure. But yeah, then you got to like re-promote the movie so people know where it's coming from, and it's a whole thing, But
I have brought up that we've talked about why it hadn't been like redone, and that it could be kind of like the Star Is Born type of.
Oh yeah.
But more fashion.
Yeah, I think you could actually retell this story. To be honest, there's a better version of this out there, I believe, that this thing could accompany. So there's a lot of saving graces. There's some really funny moments. It's honestly one of the best meet cutes I've ever seen in movies, to be honest with you. The scene where she's talking to him from the crowd that you guys were referencing earlier, it's super cute, and to revisit it, it's wonderful. Like I almost wish like he would have cried like when he heard her voice. You know what I mean? Like it would have been like a super powerful moment. You know what I mean?
They would have showed weakness amongst the constituents, though.
Yeah, he looked. You're right. Maybe you're right. He looked more panicked, and he should have been like more in awe. Like, holy shit, this human being like really loves me. You know what I mean? She's like here for me, like in my, like darkest hour, really. You know what I mean? Like he's like I'm about to go through it. I also think he wins the congressman's seat if he has Diana Ross by his side.
Oh, for sure. She's already the face on magazines.
She's wealthy, celebrity woman.
I mean,
she's gonna push him over the edge.
There's no better move than him like dumping a bunch of coins in her room. Like the callback, there were some nice callbacks in the movie, but that of just like, oh, that sounds like coins being put through my mail slot. Like that?
Yeah, there's some nice.
There's only one person that's ever done that before.
Yeah, those moments are like kind of classic movie cute stuff for relationships. So much so, Dino said, "Is this a romantic comedy?" And I was like, "I don't know." So it's got some of those elements too. It's not all bad. I mean, I guess of the bunch of men who are all kind of terrible, Billy D was the best of the bunch. I mean,
she shouldn't have to go back to Billy D.
I know that's I was me and Michaela were like pretty much on there. I was like, yeah, I was
also
like, I appreciate what they was doing, but like they really do establish that his career would have come first before her dreams, and that she would just have to learn how to be okay with that, and the whole movie she's getting punished for not making that decision until she decides.
And would you trust a politician who betrayed Han to Vader to save a city in the clouds? What the fuck?
I agree.
And they were fighting the gun that looked a lot like Han Solo's blaster, by the way.
Yeah.
It did.
Final thoughts, guys.
So basically, those are my final thoughts.
There you go. All right. Is that everyone or Steve?
No, I'll make mine brief and quick. I agree with the majority of the people. This movie is not necessarily for me, but it was a good watch because it did remind me, like I said in the beginning, of that ensemble core, genuine type acting that I really enjoy. I did enjoy the colors and the dresses of the movie, and I did enjoy the little parts where Diana had a chance to sing, because that's really her forte, and it was really great to see. The parts where she was sleeping with these guys and stuff and auctioning and all that stuff was very cringy to me, but that's because also the times that we live in today, that we're a little bit more aware of what's going on and all that stuff. So it's a little tough to watch, but mission accomplished if that's what those scenes were trying to get accomplished and get across by. I think the only thing for me, honestly, that I needed from this movie in order for me to like really, really get into it was more direction. But now getting that context of like the whole director change and things like that, it kind of makes sense to like be fumbling around with what's the actual core message of the movie. But overall, I would recommend this movie to people that are into fashion and a bunch of my LGBTQ plus friends that I'm sure will enjoy this type of movie.
Nice. All right. Hey, Jason, you have a question?
No. Wait. Raymond, did you?
Raymond, final thoughts?
I was just going to say, yeah, I'm glad I watched it. I think that I love the more avant-garde looks, and I think it's ripe for a remake. And if they can't find anyone to write it, I am available and willing. But I understand if someone else can.
Hey, be like her. Don't wait for someone to ask you to write it. Just write it.
It's magic. It's like you want to be a fashion designer and you become an unlikely model. It sounds kind of cringy, and then anyway. But yeah, I heard I think Jason might have like some conversation about the dissonance of the fashion world in 1975 Chicago, or something about a question that you might have.
Yeah, it's ruthless times. I wasn't going to question that at all. I will say this though. just as it reminded me, I will say this. Muhammad Ali once said in an interview around this time in Chicago, he said, as a black man, I can't even buy a building in downtown Chicago. He goes, I can't do it. They won't let me. Wow. That was 1970 Chicago downtown. They wouldn't let a black person own a building.
Yeah.
They just wouldn't, it wasn't going to be allowed. So, I mean, there was sort of a ceiling. Throw that in there. Steve, what do you got for us next week?
Next week, I don't know why you asked me, because I've been gone for a little bit. So it's not my turn. It's actually JP's turn.
Oh, boy. Oh, whoa. It's my turn. And enough talk. I bet when you're watching this right now, it's probably the 4th of July. I don't care if it's March. It's the 4th of July. It's the middle of November. Fuck your face. It's the 4th of July. No more dramatic bull crap that we're going to watch. And also, we've been watching foreign films for like, what, a month? I ain't going to be no sub to no title. So we're going to watch some American shit up in here. That's right. We're going to watch the most American, most patriotic movies of our time. The first option is going to be from Matt Stone and Trey Parker.
I thought you said you were enough words. Those were like a lot of words.
They were a lot. They were more like the same word but repeated like more than once.
Anyways,
first option from Matt Stone and Trey Parker is Team America World Police. That's our first option. And second option from Chris Miller and Phil Lord is America, the Motion Picture.
What?
So, my fellow patriots, you get to decide because this is a democracy. I don't care what those effing people who think they got rights have to say. We do it by vote. So, number one, we get puppets. And number two, we get two-dimensional puppets.
All right. Cool.
All right. Count us down, JP.
All right. And the land of the free and the home of the brave. Vote. Looks like we're going with the Lord Miller, Philip, Christmas with America the Motion Picture. Tune in next week to see if JP's banned from the group.
Oh, we don't have to wait. We can do a vote now, right?
Yay! No. For El Dontino, Jason Echoes, Miguel JP, Raymond Arturo Perez, and me, Steve the CB. We'll catch you next week. Bye-bye!